You know, that feeling. Yeah. Lynette Hensley. Hey, I made it here with your video instructions. Wow. They actually worked. I did something right. I was so afraid after I was done that, because when it's your Facebook page, you're like, well, wait, does it look the same on my Facebook? Does it look the same when someone else comes to my Facebook? There's Hayden Reese. There's Sam Weis. Sam Weis, I found you, she says. Hayden says, what the hey? Where am I? Well, I don't blame you. I was saying that earlier. But, I said to myself, hey, what what don't I want to do? I don't want to be thinking about it. I don't want to be thinking weird thoughts. But only audio. That's because the curtain's still down, Sam. Sheesh. You'll give me just a quick couple of moments here. Oh, look at the time. Golly. You'd hate to be late on your first night when it's actually a Tuesday. The day that time forgot. That's right, friends. Here we are. The poetry break happening. Wow. This was actually kind of... it was easier for me to get here than I ever thought it would be. Yeah. But let's talk about sunshine, people. Let's talk about warmth. Let's talk about... Actually, I got to get over here. That's what happens. That's what starts happening this time of year. The sun starts hitting my window in the later part of the day, and it actually warms it up in here. I mean, it's like 50-something outside, and here I am, sweltering. No, I'm not sweltering. Let's get started. I don't want to waste a lot of time with falderall and fiddly-dee tonight. You know why? I don't either. Can you see me now, Sam? Oh, there's that handsome face. Oh, you must be on someone else's channel. You must be watching Jean Burnett's channel. We're starting out tonight with Amy Clampitt, What the Light Was Like. Yes, going to start out with something that's kind of aquatic. I find it is aquatic. What am I talking? It's called The August Darks. This is Amy Clampitt, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're keeping score at home. Sorry. The August Darks. Stealth of the flood tide, the moon dark but still at work, the herring shoals somewhere offshore, looked for but not infallible, as the tide is, as the August darks are. Stealth of the seep of daylight, the boats bird white above the inlets altering fish silver, the murmur of the motor as the first boat slips out ahead of daylight into the opening aorta, that heaving reckoning whose flux informs the heartbeat of the fisherman, poor, dark, fallible, infallible, handful of a marvel murmuring unasked inside the ribcage. Workplace covert as the August darks are, as in the moon's work, masked within the blazing atrium of daylight, the margin of its dwindling sanguine as with labor, but effortless, as is the image far out, illusory at the dark's edge, of the cruise ship moving, seemingly unscathed by effort, bright as a stage set for the miming of the tiaraed swan's dance dying, the heartbeat's prodigies of strain unseen, the tendons ache, the blood-stained toe shoes, the tulle sweat-stained, contained out where the herring wait, beyond the surf roar, on the other side of silence, we should die of, George Eliot declared, were we to hear it. Many have already died of it. The August Darks. That's Amy Clampitt from her volume, What the Light Was Like. Yeah, Amy Clampitt, who wrote that famous volume called The Kingfisher, right? The Kingfisher? You've heard of that, right? Thanks, Ma. The Kingfisher was Amy Clampitt's first book, which was not published, I don't think, until she was in her 60s. So there's still hope for people like me. I don't think we need this anymore. But we're there. We're on YouTube. Wow. I thought it would be more difficult because YouTube seems more like a real kind of a thing. Facebook was always kind of, for hobbyists, But we're serious students here, all of us. Yeah, no teachers, just students. The August Darks. And these are some amazing sentences she's stringing together here, and very chewy. There's chewy segments of this poem that are just tender. The August Darks. Stealth of the flood tide, the moon dark but still at work, the herring shoals somewhere offshore, looked for but not infallible, as the tide is, as the August darks are. Stealth of the seep of daylight, the boats, bird white above the inlet's altering fish silver, the murmur of the motor as the first boat slips out ahead of daylight into the opening aorta, that heaving reckoning whose flux informs the heartbeat of the fisherman, poor, dark, fallible, infallible, handful of a marvel murmuring unasked inside the ribcage, workplace covert as the August darks are, as is the moon's work, masked within the blazing atrium of daylight, the margin of its dwindling sanguine as with labor, but effortless, as is the image far out, illusory at the dark's edge, of the cruise ship moving, seemingly unscathed by effort, bright as a stage set, for the miming of the tiara'd swans danced dying. The heartbeat's prodigies of strain unseen, the tendons ache, the blood-stained toe shoes, the tulle sweat-stained, contained out where the herring wait. Beyond the surf roar on the other side of silence we should die of, George Eliot declared, were we to hear it. Many have already died of it. Yeah, there you go. Amy Clampitt. I gotta get back into Amy Clampitt, There's all these poets that I've discovered since we've been doing this. I mean, I had the Kingfisher, but I don't think it had really ever gotten inside me. Yeah. It's weird, but it's good. But it's good. Now, since we're on the nautical theme, I'm going to read my one Oldmanhood next. Then we're going to dive into the meat of the broadcast, which, as usual, is the mailbag. Yes, indeed. So Diane and I were out at La Push this last week. That's why there was no poetry break last Tuesday. And we go out there, and it gets, I don't know, but here's to La Push. Lori Trout, if she were here. Alan Hicks. Alan Hicks is here. This is fun, he says. All right, we do have a big guy break coming up in tonight's episode. For those of you who only hang around for that kind of special moment. That's smooth. It's very smooth. So, I don't know. Diane and I were trying to figure out how many times we've gone out there. We've lost count, which is probably good for people our age. There's a lot of things we should lose count of at this age, huh? But I just wanted to read this one because it's the one that I wrote out there. And I haven't really written much of anything that I like since then. I'm actually working this week covering the front desk at the doctor's office where Diane and I used to work because their regular person is not out of town, but she's an actress and she is involved in a play, and they are doing performances at high schools around the area. So, anyway, from Oldmanhood. Came out to the end of the land with the missus, looking for what lay beyond it. In the crooked wind, sun dangling off the edge, birds going where we can't, knowing more, counting their addiction to gravity as original luck. Came out to the end of the land with my notebook to describe the rest I get here. Regeneration without movement in time. Still old and broken, still slow of foot, but cleared out in my mind, the dust and soot, the rot and wreck. Came out to the end of the land with my walking stick, my third leg to ward off stumbles, roots and clefts too small for old man eyes to see in the muted fuzz of angled light, lashed to a mast, teetering down the beach. Came out to the end of the land to fall off. Picture Oldmanhood. I'm getting, I know. Since the blinds are closed and I can't look out the window and in mute wonder anyway, I might as well put on my close-up glasses so I can read a little easier. Don't you think? Yes. You probably thought that because we're on Facebook or on YouTube now, I would have redone the whole place. It would have been some kind of slicked up, kind of stylized kind of situation. But no, same old piles of books that we're used to here. Okay. Oldmanhood. Came out to the end of the land with the missus, looking for what lay beyond it. In the crooked wind, sun dangling off the edge, birds going where we can't, knowing more, counting their addiction to gravity as original luck. Came out to the end of the land with my notebook to describe the rest I get here. Regeneration without movement in time. Still old and broken, still slow of foot, but cleared out in my mind, the dust and soot, the rot and wreck. Came out to the end of the land with my walking stick, my third leg to ward off stumbles, roots and clefts too small for old man eyes to see in the muted fuzz of angled light, lashed to a mast, teetering down the beach. Came out to the end of the land to fall off. Which is kind of true, which is kind of what we do, Diane and I, when we head out there. We go out there to fall off, to kind of just let whatever is clingy, the clingy bits, just kind of, shed that old skin and, start developing the new one, I guess. Hopefully it would be tougher than the previous layer. Anyway, folks, still got the cancer surgery coming up. It's a week from Thursday, so it will not have happened next Tuesday's poetry break. I'm interested in what you folks think. I'm more interested than ever in hearing from people on this email address, poetrybreak22@gmail.com, because Facebook, YouTube, how much difference does it make? To whom does it make the difference? You can comment on YouTube just like you did on Facebook. It's just not quite as, I don't know. What isn't it? What isn't it? Gee, Bill, English major lately? Okay, we're going in reverse order tonight in the mailbag in terms of date received because you'll know why by the end of the mailbag, because the last poem in the mailbag is it's a big one. It's a big one. It says here we have 9 people. That's not bad for a first crack at YouTube, huh? Mark Kenny comes first because he came in last. Mark, yeah. Well, because I was working at the doctor's office today, I remembered when I got home, I should check the Poetry Break email. And to see if anything has come in the last couple of days. So yeah, I was glad I did because I found yours and I found Sam's, Jim's I'd known about, and Nils's I'd known about. Nils Peterson sent the long poem that we're going to be looking at tonight. But it's good. I like it. I already got a book of that guy's poetry, Nils. If Nils happens to be here, which he might not be, but he'll see it on the rerun. Yes, he will. So Mark Kenny starts it out. Hi, Bill. Whenever possible, I find myself a fan of short verse, as do I. Peace to you and Diane as I work to recover a semblance of normal breathing. I'm doing much better. Sorry the Facebook gremlins got you. Mark, I'm glad to hear that you're doing better, and yeah. Continue to just take it easy. Let the healing happen. Yeah. Okay. Alan Hicks. Okay. Well, not a huge number of comments so far, but what are you going to do? Anyway, Mark sent us a W.B. Yeats poem. Yeah. Old Bill Yeats. Where My Books Go, it's called. Where My Books Go. All the words that I utter and all the words that I write must spread out their wings untiring and never rest in their flight, till they come where your sad, sad heart is, and sing to you in the night, beyond where the waters are moving, storm darkened or starry bright. Another nautical reference there, huh? Huh? Yeah, that's it. Bill Yeats, Where My Books Go. All the words that I utter and all the words that I write must spread out their wings untiring and never rest in their flight, till they come to where your sad, sad heart is, and sing to you in the night, beyond where the waters are moving, storm darkened or starry bright. I'm going to read that one more time, see if I can get through and not stumble. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. Where my books go. All the words that I utter and all the words that I write must spread out their wings untiring and never rest in their flight, till they come where your sad, sad heart is, and sing to you in the night, beyond where the waters are moving, storm darkened or starry bright. Nailed it. Stuck the landing on that one. Huh? Huh? What do you guys think? What do you think of the YouTube thing? It's pretty much the same, isn't it? Yeah, there's still nobody over there. Goodness gracious. Okay, Sam Weis. Sam Weis, heard from her this afternoon. Ooh, YouTube. See you there, is what she said. I doubt your copy of This House, bright yellow cover for this chapbook, has arrived, so here are 2 poems from that very book. Your choice as to what you want to toss out there into the world of YouTube. Sending you and Diane happy springtime vibes. Okay, all right. He's up. He's moving. He's moving. Is this something new he's going to do on YouTube? I don't think so. He doesn't move that much. He doesn't move that well. Where can it be? Somewhere in this room is an envelope with Sam's return address on it, and I believe it probably is the new chapbook, but I've got the poems right here. I'm not going to go searching around the office, although it was here a few minutes ago. I wonder if the dogs of poetry came and ran off with it. I don't know. So we've got 2 poems from Sam's latest chapbook, which is called This House. Bright yellow cover. If you check Sam's Facebook page, for those of you who are still hanging out over there, she posted a picture just the other day of all 3 of the chapbooks that she's done here in the last couple of months. And the yellow one is the one she's talking about. It's called This House. 2 poems. The first one's called Enola Gay. Enola Gay by Sam Weis. Oh, Enola, Enola, Enola Gay, what have you done, O gleaming silver bird of prey? We remember you forever, sealed the fate of humanity when you, Enola Gay, let loose the bindings of insanity. Hermaphroditic raptor, unwinged phallus, yet gravid in flight across the sea, your belly full of ego and hubris, and the demons of ideology. O Enola, Enola, Enola Gay, do not weep at what they say. It's not your fault, only your flight. Given such altitude, you could mistake ignorance for brilliance, darkness for light. Now we lie prostrate upon your wings in this unholy flight without cease, living all our generations hence, mistaking paralytic fear for peace. Once more, Bill. Let's see if you can get through it. Here we go. Here we go. I'm extra nervous tonight because, it's YouTube. Enola Gay. Oh, Enola, Enola, Enola Gay. What have you done, O gleaming silver bird of prey? We remember you forever, sealed the fate of humanity when you, Enola Gay, let loose the bindings of insanity. Hermaphroditic raptor, a winged phallus, yet gravid in flight across the sea, your belly full of ego and hubris and the demons of ideology. Oh, Enola, Enola, Enola Gay, do not weep at what they say. It's not your fault, only your flight. Given such altitude, you could mistake ignorance for brilliance, darkness for light. Now we lie prostrate upon your wings in this unholy flight, without cease, living all our generations hence, mistaking paralytic fear for peace. Thank you, Sam. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, so that's in Sam's third chapbook. It's the yellow one called This House. This House. The second one's called You Will Fall. You Will Fall. Blame the night, the soft dark night, or the intoxicating jasmine. Perhaps it is the soul-caressing music that lures and allures angels disguised as light. Open the gates of love. Step through, and your heart will no longer be yours. You will lose traction. You will give up the fight, and you will float up and up above the silvery clouds into the darkening purple sky, where in sublime suspension you will surrender your mind, erasing your perception of all previous time. And then you will fall, gaining momentum, sliding, sinking, helplessly, madly, into the realm of Eros, hopelessly, gladly. We get the picture. It's a great picture. Thanks, Sam. You Will Fall, it's called. Blame the night, the soft, dark night, or the intoxicating jasmine. Perhaps it is the soul-caressing music that lures and allures angels disguised as light. Open the gates of love. Step through, and your heart will no longer be yours. You will lose traction. You will give up the fight, and you will float up and up above the silvery clouds into the darkening purple sky, where in sublime suspension you will surrender your mind, erasing your perception of all previous time. And then you will fall, gaining momentum, sliding, sinking, helplessly, madly, into the realm of Eros, hopelessly, gladly. Sam Weis. Sam Weis. 2 from her most recent chapbook, This House. Now, Jim Page, Poem for the Break, it's called. And the poem, I believe, is actually a set of song lyrics. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim. But it's by Adrianne Lenker. And I know Adrianne Lenker is a musician. Injidar is the name of this. Injidar. By Adrianne Lenker. Fragilely, gradually, and surrounding, the horse lies naked in the shed. Evergreen anodyne decompounding, flies draw sugar from his head. His eyes are blueberries, video screens, Minneapolis schemes, and the dried flowers from books half read. The juice of dark cherries cover his chin. The dog walks in, and the crow lies in, his jaw like lead. Everything eats and is eaten. Time is fed. Early evening, pink ring swallows the spherical marigold terrain. Sleepily, Venus sinks and hollows the stationed headlight of a plane. You are as far from me as memory, with fixtures fracture varyingly. The juice of dark cherries cover my skin. 6 years in, no, baby. Everything eats and is eaten. Injidar bears a scar like a meteor. Crystalline amber gilds her cheek. Tambourine of the beech leaves lead her to the raven playing hide and seek. Drying blueberries, figurines, and the angel leans at the head of the bed. The juice of dark cherries cover my chin. The dog walks in, and the crow lies in, his smile like lead. Everything eats and is eaten. Time is fed. Everything eats and is eaten. Everything eats and is eaten. Adrianne Lenker. I don't know if it's Adrian or Adrianne Lenker. It's only because there's 2 N's in Adrian. I don't know. That's okay, though. Jim sent this. I like it. It's kind of one of those, it's kind of a They Feed They Lion kind of poem. It's the sounds, it's the sounds and the rhythms of the whole thing that really give it the, I don't know, what it's got. Yeah. Injidar, it's called, by Adrianne Lenker. Fragilely, gradually and surrounding, the horse lies naked in the shed. Evergreen anodyne decompounding, flies draw sugar from his head. His eyes are blueberries, video screens, Minneapolis schemes, and the dried flowers from books half read. The juice of dark cherries cover his chin. The dog walks in, and the crow lies in, his jaw like lead. Everything eats and is eaten. Time is fed. Early evening, the pink ring swallows the spherical marigold terrain sleepily. Venus sinks and hollows the stationed headlight of a plane. You are as far from me as memory, with fixtures fracture varyingly. The juice of dark cherries cover my skin. 6 years in, no, baby. Everything eats and is eaten. Injidar bears a scar like a meteor. Crystalline amber gilds her cheek. Tambourine of the beech leaves lead her to the raven playing hide and seek. Drying blueberries, figurines, and angel leans at the head of the bed. The juice of dark cherries cover my chin. The dog walks in, and the crow lies in, his smile like lead. Everything eats and is eaten. Time is fed. Everything eats and is eaten. Everything eats and is eaten. I like the way that reads. I also like all the callbacks, all the little parts that are kind of there and not there, and it partly reminds you of a floating envelope. It's a floating envelope. It's the hand. The hand. The hand, ladies and gentlemen. The hand is here. I guess the hand doesn't include the forearm. I didn't say anything about the forearm. Maybe the forearm felt bad because the hand gets all the credit. Yeah. What did the hand bring? The envelope from Sam Weis. Yes. Let's just. I feel like Karnak. You know what I'm saying, Sam? See, you had to blow on the envelope. Karnak the Magnificent. Funkin' Wagnall's porch since noon today. This house by Sam Weis. Yeah. This one feels a little thicker than the last one. I don't know. Is this the same number of pages in every one of them, Sam? You can tell me later if you want. You don't have to tell me now. There we go. Hot off the press in my hot little mitt. Okay. I got my reading material. Yep. So, we got Injidar. Injidar. I like it. Now we're going to take a big bite. Now, Nils was talking this was actually from week before last because we didn't have a poetry break last week. So I could have, once again, I had like my pick of 4 or 5 different things by Nils that I could choose from, each one as good as the other. But here's what Nils, it was almost a challenge he was throwing down. Nils was throwing down. Here's a very long poem, but I found myself wondering if Bill on his show might read it anyway. Well, you were wondering that, were you, Nils? This is a poem by a Canadian fellow, Tom Wayman. And I read this poem and I liked it. And you know what I did? Where did it go? All my materials. All the earthly materials. Where did you put it? Oh, you buried it. That's right. I was going through some stuff right before I came on tonight. Well, you know, I buried it. Tom Wayman. Yes. Watching a man break a dog's back. Yeah. Poems for dark times. This Tom Wayman book came out in 2020. And this guy's been writing poetry. His first book came out in 1973. So, this guy's been around a while. So, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, like 25 books of poems since 1973. Tom Wayman is his name. Yeah. So he's well known up there in the up there in Canada. Anyway, so this is called Garrison, and it's a chunk. It's 5 pages. Buckle up, you YouTubers. You don't even know what hit you, do you? Let's see. I think oh yeah. Here's a very long poem. Garrison by Tom Wayman. A man is running across Wyoming. Away out in the high plains, nothing around him but wind and sky. A man runs along the paved shoulder of the great interstate, crossing Wyoming from west to east. Cars pass him. The faces of children stare out of rear windows, and trucks pull by. The drivers high above the road watch him run along way ahead as they approach and go on. Garrison is running across Wyoming. He has always run. He ran in military school and in the Army's summer camps. They wanted us to get up at 5:30 a.m., so at 5 I'd be up doing laps. They couldn't believe it. He went to college on a scholarship for track. I was good, but I wasn't that good. I never could get into competition. I'd place, but I think I only won in a meet once or twice. I just liked to run. We'd have a good time, me and a few others. I remember one relay where the first guy on our team was great. The second guy was good. Then they gave the baton to me. I ran full out, but I lost most of the lead we had. So when I passed to my friend, he could see we weren't going to win. He was even slower on that distance than I was. So he ran one lap. Then he ran out of the stadium into the dressing room and was sitting outside having showered and changed when the coach caught up to him. The coach didn't know what to do. He'd never seen anybody run right out of a race. Now Garrison strides down a long slope in the afternoon sun, his T-shirt plastered to his back above the pavement, face contorted with the strain. At college, he says, I used to run down from the jock dorm about a mile to a little amusement park where they had this miniature train. There was a cinder track that paralleled the train tracks, so I'd run on that. Pretty soon a train would come up behind, and I'd put on a burst of speed to see if I could beat it. The guy at the controls of the little engine would open up the throttle. No, 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 no. And I'd tear along, trying to do better. People on board would shout and wave, but I had to leap a couple of ditches, and anyway, by the time I ever got to the park, I'd already run a ways, so I wasn't exactly fresh. One day, though, I got into Strip and drove my car down to the place. I got out and hid in the bushes on the further side of the worst ditch. When the train came around the corner, I leapt out and yelled in the driver's ear, "Let's go!" and took off after up the track. He opened her up, no, and took off after me. The people screaming and cheering as he drew closer. They thought they were helping win the race, but actually they were just sitting there yelling. And he could have done better if they weren't aboard. Anyway, that time we were neck and neck when we got round to that ditch again. His feet in Wyoming pull the asphalt behind him, stroke after stroke, breath hauled in and pushed out with his long legs, eyes blue under the blue sky. He went to graduate school in ROTC, studying education. He listened to what people said about the war and asked the Army about it, so they let him go. He asked his professors about their work, too, taking his hound Ralph into classes and offices, using the dog as a point of reference in discussing teaching techniques. He was living then at the edge of town in a tiny cabin and running miles along the country roads and laps around a tree-lined oval in front of the university administration building. Until he quit, got a job working demolition, then in the southern part of the state went logging. They only think political down there, he says. The only thing political down there, he says, was the Birch Society meetings. So I'd go along. Mostly it was a good place to talk about hunting and trade guns and all that. I'd refuse to take the oath of allegiance to start the meeting, freak 'em out. Told 'em I was a commie. Then we'd talk about dogs and rifles. I kept winning most of the turkey shoots they had down there with my old single shot. Excuse me. They didn't know what to make of it. I figured one crazy commie at a Birch meeting is better than a dozen films sent out from California. I remember one time I was over talking guns with Billy Hankin. I saw he had a couple of bumper stickers on the back of his pickup, "Support your right to bear arms" and "Support your local police." "Billy," I says to him, "you know, if they pass a law outlawing guns, it isn't the communists who are going to come by to pick up your rifles. It'll be Sheriff McLeod." Next time I saw the truck, the bumper sticker about the police was torn off. He had enough education credits to teach remedial subjects in the winters, and he logged summers. He married and got his teaching certificate finally, had a daughter and hurt his back in the woods, so it had to be operated on. Then his wife left him, and he came apart, driving west to San Francisco non-stop in his old Jeep, and north to Canada to a rural teaching job some friends got him. There, too, he ran and sat in the bar mourning his marriage while the jukebox sang "You Can't Hide Your Cheatin' Eyes," and he quit in January and moved farther north to work as a counselor on a ranch for delinquent boys. The kids could go to jail or to the ranch, he says. They were some mean little monsters. A couple of them had been found guilty of setting cars on fire. Shortly after they got to the ranch, they took off. We got the RCMP after them, and they were picked up in Hazleton. The Mountie puts them into the back of his car, but one of them got the door open somehow and zips away up the street. So the cop, who isn't too bright, leaves one kid in the car while he runs after the other. By the time he gets back with the first kid, sure enough, the other had the cop car nicely ablaze. These kids are real puzzle factory inmates. Penguins, that's what I call them. One night, a bunch of them got into a fight in the meal hall, squirting ketchup at each other and throwing bread around and everything. I was supposed to be on duty, so I went in there and didn't pay any attention to them, but began kicking over tables, smashing plates and cups, tipping over chairs, just went insane. I looked up after a minute and saw all the kids huddled into a corner watching me. "Now clean this up and your mess too," I said, and walked out, and they went to work and got everything tidy. I just showed them what it's like when an adult goes nutty. No good yelling at them or threatening them. They'd had plenty of that. If a penguin comes at me to hit me sometimes, I'll just wrap my arms around him so he can't move his and pick him up and dance with him. He gets really angry, but then he calms down and nobody gets hurt. Now Garrison is traveling back to Colorado for a long-delayed compensation hearing about his back. I never can do what I want to, Tom, he says as we drive. I got out of teaching because I like to work with my hands. I have to stay in shape. I have to. Any job I've been on, I want to work full out. But most jobs, you're letting everybody else down if you work too hard. I like the outdoor stuff at the ranch, but the place is crazy. It's really a jail. The kids don't want to be there, and there's no women. I go into town and meet somebody and fall in love and make a fool of myself. I don't want to do that. I want to be better to women, but I don't know how. His fingers reach up to twist the thin blonde hair above his forehead. Tom, who needs us? I think maybe this is the first time people like us have really been useless. What can we work at? Give it everything that isn't hurting somebody else or adding to the sick way things are going. What are we good for? Sometimes I honestly wish I'd gone and fought in the war. At a rest stop, he says he wants to stretch, cramped from riding in that small car. He changes into strip and starts east down the freeway while I finish some lunch, check the oil, and drive out after him. A speck in the distance. Garrison runs at the edge of the highway, breathing the exhausts in the hot day, running across Wyoming, running towards Rollins, running towards Jerusalem. Tom Wayman. Yeah, I like that. I like that very much. I'm going to be reading some more Tom Wayman. Yeah, they're not all that long. Not all of them. Garrison was the name of that one. Tom Wayman. Thank you, Nils, for sending that over. And I hope that you get to see this at some point. Here's Katrina Knight. It's okay if you're late, Katrina. Tonight's a different kind of night. I don't know if you noticed that or not. It's different. We're not where we usually are, but we're somewhere anyway. Yeah, I hope some people were able to follow the link on the hands page to get over here. What am I doing? That's not what I want. Okay. We were reading some Larry Levis last week, and I wanted to read another Larry Levis. Darn it. Darn it! I just like him. Where was that one? This is, wait a minute. Yeah. Is that the one I was going to read? Wait a minute, Bill. Don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. Can't read. There's some long stuff in this book, too. Yeah, that's right. That's the one, Bill. That's the one. This is the book, The Darkening Trapeze, which is a book that was put together after Larry Levis's death. Yeah. After his death. It's called Gossip in the Village, the one I'm going to read. Gossip in the Village. I told no one, but the Snows came anyway. They weren't even serious about it at first. Then they seemed to say as if nothing happened, Snow could say that, and almost perfectly. The village slept in the gunmetal of its evening, and there, through a thin dress once, I touched a body so alive and eager I thought it must be someone else's soul. And though I was mistaken, and though we parted, and the road kept thawing between snows in the first spring sun, and it was all like spring, irrevocable, irony has made me thinner. Some day, weeks from now, I will wake alone. My fate, I will think. will be to have no fate. I will feel suddenly hungry. The morning will be bright and wrong. Bright and wrong. That's how it ends. Gossip in the Village, it's called. I told no one, but the snows came anyway. They weren't even serious about it at first. Then they seemed to say if nothing happened, snow could say that, and almost perfectly. The village slept in the gunmetal of its evening. And there, through a thin dress once, I touched a body so alive and eager I thought it must be someone else's soul. And though I was mistaken, and though we parted, and the roads kept thawing between snows and the first spring sun, and it was all, like spring, irrevocable, irony has made me thinner. Someday, weeks from now, I will wake alone. My fate, I will think, will be to have no fate. I will feel suddenly hungry. The morning will be bright and wrong. Bright and wrong. I like that. I like the way that ends. Gossip in the Village. I'm going to read it one more time. Because of the dogs, you know. Gossip in the Village. We'll close with this tonight, folks, okay? I told no one, but the snows came anyway. They weren't even serious about it at first. Then they seemed to say, if nothing happened, snow could say that, and almost perfectly. The village slept in the gunmetal of its evening, and there, through a thin dress once, I touched a body so alive and eager I thought it must be someone else's soul. And though I was mistaken, and though we parted, and the roads kept thawing between snows in the first spring sun, and it was all, like spring, irrevocable, irony has made me thinner. Someday, weeks from now, I will wake alone. My fate, I will think, will be to have no fate. I will feel suddenly hungry. The morning will be bright and wrong. Gossip in the Village did something to the morning. Did something to the morning. The Darkening Trapeze is the name of that one. Yeah. So I'm deeply mired. I've been mired in Larry Levis and loving it, but I've got some new stuff, you know. I've got Tom Wayman now to consider and a few other new little saplings to try to nourish and jam into my head so that we can do this again. We will be doing this again 167 hours from right now, and here's hoping that some of you will be here then too. Thank you for going to the trouble of finding your way here tonight, and I hope it's easier next time, that's for sure. Have a poetic week. Take care of one another. The hand and I are both well cared for, one for the other and one by the other. So, yes. Let's make it a good week, okay? See you next time.